I lied last video, or I might just edit that. Anyways, this video will be on the MISC equipment of my collection in HO. This includes flat cars, gondolas, tank cars, and hopper cars. We'll begin with hopper cars, or should I say covered hopper cars. They're still hopper cars, so I'm right about that. These four are the only covered hopper cars on my fleet. The top one is currently being rebuilt for Lehigh Valley specs and paint. The other three I retain, even though these two are actually too modern for my layout. I just like them. It's nice having three of the same style hopper car here, which are the PS2 hopper car, and they're not half bad. I mean, this car is from 1980. Top one here, the Northwest. But those are just the hopper cars in my fleet. This is the quickest video. Here we have the 4 tank cars. I have a 5th one, which is currently in the process of being repainted, so I can't show that yet. I also have another gondola that isn't here in the video. But these are the 4 tank cars I use on my trains. They're all quite simple cars. This is the oldest, being 1948. The rest of them are relatively modern speaking. And they just make up, well, another part of my fleet. Below that I have my gondolas, which vary. These two are weathered cars, much like a few in my other one. This is for my scrap rail and some scrap ties. It's nice to have carloads and cars, if you know what I mean. This is for parts that are busted and can't be used again. Looks pretty nice, this southern car. This was originally a Canadian national car. It survived a fire at a train shop. The car is heavily warped, as you could see. What I decided to do was, since it was a very modern paint scheme on such an old car, I decided to paint it black, which it is to represent a older car that's been through service, and it just got a repaint towards the end of its life to give it a little bit of an extended time. The other one here is a Varney car, originally PRR. Someone at one point repainted the car. It's also warped and worn out, but that works on my maintenance of way train, which it's not half bad considering it. It makes a decent looking car and an interesting talking piece since it is a Varney from the 60s. Over here at the top we have my only refrigerator box gondola. It's a nice N&W car, 50 foot, and it just fits in, even though it also doesn't at the same time. It looks good on a way freight. Then I have 2 Erie cars. This one that's on its side here is a kit car that someone also did some scratch building on, and now it just kind of exists. It's a really nice looking gondola, and I just have a load of junk in there. The one next to it is a lifelike P2K car, and this is a lovely gondola. When I saw that thing, I just knew I had to have it. I believe it's based off a PRR design, but you would have to check with someone like, I can't remember his name. He also has a railroad, Steve Burnett. He has a bunch of those in Pennsy on his layout. The final gondola today is, I just picked this up a while ago, by that on Friday. I actually don't know much about it other than it is heavy. It's either cast or die-cast or brass, I'm not too sure. It's a very heavy unmarked car with relatively good detail. It's in really good condition too. It's a little beat up, but it looks great with the other black painted up gondola. So yeah, that's gondolas. Finally, we'll move over to trailers, or not trailers, flat cars, but yes, I do have trailers involved. These two are two different numbered Union Pacific P2K cars. This top one, I will occasionally do something like this to it. As you can see, it looks pretty good with the trailer on it, doesn't it? Even though the trailer kind of works more towards this, that one has the length 4 to 53-foot trailer. This used to be a U.S. Army car that I painted up a long time ago into Rutland, and even though it doesn't look the best, I decided to keep it because it's a little bit of history. It's one of the very first rail cars I ever did a paint job on, and it came out really well for the time. And even without the lettering, it still came out really good. That's been on almost every time I've ran a train. That's been on every layout. Next up, we have this New York Central flat car, which is pretty simple but effective. It's a really nice flat car. There's also an ATSF one, which is now, used to be Mantua with the old mounting. Now it is body mount couplers, which is nice. This is the only car that has a load permanently connected. It is my Northwestern flat car. It's a nice car. It has these two boxes on it. Not sure what they would be for, but all these cars, including the gondola, would be spotted out at the one freight house on my layout. The final two are my short cars. Oh, also these could be spotted at another place called Hazard Wire on my layout. But here we have a small heavy flat, which these are for heavy loads or as spacer cars. It's a nice gondola, or not gondola, flat car. The final one is a similar car. The only difference is, other than the fact that it's actually really lightweight, this has no weight to it whatsoever. Not sure who made it, but it has nothing to it. At least this has a weight. But what I decided to do with it was I mounted these two wood poles onto it. I'm going to eventually mount boards on each end, and it's going to be a short piggyback car for my one trailer, which fits the era. And as you can see, as a short piggyback, it looks quite sharp. Can you imagine just a whole train of these? I could. It would be fun. But yeah, that's it for this video. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.